With the expected arrival of coronavirus vaccines in the country, we're hearing more voices pushing for eased restrictions to further reopen the economy. President Rodrigo Duterte met with the interagency task force yesterday, and one of the country's top economic managers is urging him to impose a less restrictive quarantine nationwide. Let's bring in our Trisha Terada now for the details. Trisha, good morning. Who exactly is pushing for this, and what did they say?
Well, Acting NEDA Secretary Carl Chua advises President Rodrigo Duterte to place Metro Manila and most parts of the country under modified general community quarantine beginning March 1 to revive the economy and to mitigate poverty, hunger, and losses. Chua says quarantine restrictions since March last year brought about a total of income loss at 1.04 trillion pesos for 2020. This means, on the average, 2.8 billion pesos were lost as some workers lost their jobs while others couldn't return to work while their sector remains shuttered by strict community quarantine classification. Ria?
Trisha, so what exactly is the basis for the request to ease restrictions, and how do economic managers intend to go about it?
Well, economic managers have gained confidence to recommend relaxing community quarantine since there were no spikes reported in coronavirus cases from the reopening of the economy in October and the holidays. They also propose to expand the public transport capacity from 50 to 75% so that more workers can go back to work. They also recommend boosting public transport with active transport support like bike lanes. Chua notes the current inter-province bus operation is also insufficient since many workers went home to the provinces during the ECQ. And lastly, economic managers are keen on relaxing age restrictions gradually.
This is subject po to our discussion with the NCR mayors is to gradually expand the age group allowed to go out. Ngayon po kasi 15 to 65 lang yung pwedeng lumabas. Ang proposal po namin, i-gradual natin yung pag-expand to age 5 to 70. At pwede natin gawing dahan-dahan in increments of 5 years, also with appropriate safeguard. Yung safeguard naman, pwede lang lumabas yung kabataan with their parents only, or initially they can go out to more open areas. At hindi naman ibig sabihin na pupunta sila sa malls. Pero kung pwede pong lumabas yung kabataan with safeguards, it will allow also their parents to work and get a job.
Economic managers also propose to resume pilot face-to-face schooling in low-risk areas since the country was able to manage the UK variant, according to Chua. Back to you.
Trisha, let's talk about the vaccines. What are the updates on securing them?
Well, Vaccine Dr. Rito Galvez advises President Duterte to certify as urgent the indemnity fund and the LGU vaccine bill. These will give way for clauses in agreements between the Philippine government and manufacturers that compensate recipients who will experience adverse side effects. It's a requirement by manufacturers, actually. Galvez assures the president that vaccine supplies will soon reach the Philippines by February or March. He says the documentation has been completed and they're just waiting for the indemnification agreement to be signed. Once signed, Galvez says there will be no more obstacles since preparations have already been laid out. They are managing some logistical problems through an emergency procurement at this point. Back to you, Ria.
Now, in terms of the overall vaccination program, does the government foresee any adjustments or challenges?
Well, Galvez notes of a possible shortage in vaccine supply during the first and second quarters since most of the Western vaccines are being used in the U.S. and Europe. But he remains optimistic that the government will reach its targets for 2021. Meantime, the president directed Galvez and his spokesman, Harry Roque, to do updates at least twice a week about the vaccine program. Back to you, Ria.
Thanks a lot for that, Trisha. Trisha Terada there reporting.